Formula.
3, 2, 1.
Hey, you guys, I'm just going to let it marinate on the screen. Do y'all see that? Do y'all see? The Black Manosphere magazine is here. Special edition annual core glossary. Together, Black men are addressing these systemic issues and we're redefining our image in the media. Available on Kindle at Amazon. Let me do just a little bit more housekeeping with y'all. Because what I want to do right now is hold on. I'm going to pin this. Here's the link. And let me drop this right here. Let me see. Uh-oh. Can somebody do me a super favor? And I was hoping it would truncate it. And post a link for me. One of my mods, please. Because it's not truncating it for me. I hate little stuff like this. Please, someone post a link for me. One of my mods to the magazine. Thank you. I just wanted it to marinate up there. Hey! Hey, everybody! Oh my God. Here we go. Thank you, Dr. Michelle. So the message is pinned right at the top of the chat. Right at the top of the chat. So you guys can go ahead and get your copy of the magazine. I'm so happy. I got my A-game family in the background. So I'm going to invite y'all up in just a second. But I gotta. Oh my God. Thank you, C-Truth. Who do we have? We got Malarkey, we got Mogul Mays, we got Sherry Watts, we got Bishop. The A-game family is in the house. Bishop, Young Manhood. Audrey Ford, we got Sheep Stay Sleep. Hey, C, Ebo Sosa. We got Sir Obadiah, Miss Kalila. Who else? We got The Father's Time and the wonderful Dr. Michelle. To you both for all of your efforts and everything. Brian Randall, Fit Feminine Over 40. We got Roderick Jackson. We got Phil Brad, Tampa Supreme, Amiyana. So y'all know y'all are looking at a #1 bestseller, correct? We know that that's what we're looking at. Do we know? We should know. So let me go ahead and let me pull my family up.
What's good, family?
Hey, again,
Yo.
family, yay!
Hey.
I am so super happy. Y'all know that this was a labor. Hey, Cartier. So before we start truly celebrating, let me get some really important information out there. Now, as everyone can see, the magazine, when you go to it, is 99 cents. Okay? The reason it is not yet free is because we were on a bestsellers campaign. And if you're going to be a bestseller, it has to be sold. It can't be given away. And so 99 cents was the lowest price that it could be set. This is why we were urging people to wait until today to make the purchase. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone understood why there was a price in the first place at all. Okay. So when you're on a campaign on Amazon for #1 bestseller, which we achieved, by the way, this has been achieved. Okay. We did not come to play. A-Gang family did not come to play with nobody.
A-Gang.
Okay.
A-Gang.
We just didn't. A-Gang. Hey. We didn't come to play with nobody. Now, for those of you who want a print copy, when you post on Amazon,
A-game
they
all
have
day.
the Kindle one first because they're Kindle. So they're making sure that it sells on their platform first, and then the print ones come later. So they're not quite available yet, but they will be available in the near future. That's for those of you who were wondering about a print copy. So this is your print copy. This is how your print copy will come. The cover and everything. You know, you've got the advertisements. You've got the actual glossary here. Okay. And you've got the Black Manosphere report card. Okay. And when you take a look at it, if you have a fire, let me see, or the Kindle app on your tablet, this is how it looks. So hopefully everyone can see that.
Oh, that's dope.
Scroll.
Hey.
Coming in clear.
You can just scroll the pages.
Damn.
Okay. It's in full color.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you can, it works like any other Kindle book in the app. You can, make it bigger, make it smaller, you can magnify it. So it's coming fully functional on the Kindle app. So this is what it will look like for you guys when you purchase the Kindle edition. Now, another announcement that I would like to make about the Kindle edition. We did edit it. Since everyone had questions and concerns about their names being within the magazine, that has been edited out. So, we were simply hearing the concerns of the Black Manosphere and responding accordingly to that. So we simply removed the names, everyone's name. So no one's name from the Black Manosphere is in there. It's just a glossary. And I really do it an injustice when I say it's just a glossary, because it is not just a glossary. It is a glossary, yes. but it also addresses 10 very key areas of concern for Black men. Okay. And I want people to be able to focus on that. I want people to be able to focus on that because that's really the most important part of everything. Everybody's saying it's beautiful. So it would be, C said it would be dope if the A Game family did city meetups when the print copy is available. She said hashtag Chi-Town. We got started.
Dun, dun. Hey.
Yeah. So when we say it's a bestseller, we mean that. So look at. Let me share my screen just a little bit. Take a look. Amazon bestsellers. What's in that picture?
Hey.
The Black Manosphere magazine, right? That's what's in that picture.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it has the official Amazon tag of bestseller, the little orange ribbon that they give you. And it's a bestseller in several categories. It's also a bestseller internationally as well. So it's a bestseller in the US, it's a bestseller abroad in different countries, and it's a bestseller in the different categories as well. So one of the categories as listed here is in parenting, morals, and responsibility. The other one is in education. There is another number one category slot in sociology. So it's a number one in several ways. Okay. Again, right here it says bestseller in sociology of race relations. The Black Manosphere has the number one tag. The number one tag. Okay. So when the A Game family sets out to venture something, we make it happen. We make it all the way happen too. All the way happen. And I know I'm super stoked and I'm kind of taking everything from the family, you know, but I'm definitely going to give my brothers a chance to speak and shine because we're going to speak at length today about the real issues that Black men face, right? We're going to talk about that kind of stuff. Before we get to it, I don't want to talk or dwell on naysayers or anything like that. However, there may be some things that my brothers might want to address if they want. So we can go clockwise, Sheep, Ebo, Bishop, Manhood, and Ronan. Y'all got the floor.
Well, I'm not really gonna do too much addressing of that. You know, the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the statistics, the numbers. You know, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. So that's where I'm at with it.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. Y'all excuse me for not camming up. I'm not in a place of decency right now. Ladies, I wouldn't want to cause no trouble either in my household.
Got all his muscle showing. Okay, Ebo.
You
might get us more sales, my brother.
If that's what you want to call.
Yeah, you might boost the sales.
No, man. No,
he's just plugging his Patreon page.
Okay.
Ain't no amount of money worth my peace of mind being disturbed in my household. So, but yeah, y'all, yeah, I'm just glad to be here. I'm glad to see that magazine is where it is and what it's doing. I think we owe it a round of applause. To be honest with you, man, for real. No, indeed. Yeah,
we definitely do.
So who's gonna go first? Because we got some things we need to address.
We definitely do. But first, I do want to first give out thanks after this round of applause. And thank you for reminding me, Ebo Sosa, because this was a labor of love.
Mm-hmm.
This was a labor of necessity, and it would not have been done without Father's time and his staff.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of the extended A Game family, the non-YouTube A Game family, you know, Father's Time himself, Dr. Michelle, Dr. Sherry, and all the rest of the staff who contributed their time and their energy to making this possible. This wouldn't have been possible without those efforts. And then us, of course, the A Game YouTube family right here, making our contributions as well. And last but certainly not least is my wonderful subscribership, because we need you guys to really push it over the top. And we really want you guys to just go ahead and make the purchase. It's beautiful. It's a wonderful publication. It's a wonderful magazine. Like, it really is a beautiful work of art. I'm going to say it's a work of art, right? Because the Black Manosphere needs stuff like this. Black men need to be able to be in charge of their own narrative with their own media. And that's the be all end all of that. Black men need that agency that Brother Sheep always talks about. Black male agency. Black men need that agency. They need to be able to say for themselves what their issues are, what their triumphs are, you know, what they're going to celebrate, what they need to do. This is for Black men, you know, to speak. This magazine doesn't cover women's issues. It's not a mixture. This magazine covers men, Black men's issues specifically from the Black male perspective, not even Black male things from a Black woman's perspective, you know, how we see it. It's from a Black men's perspectives, backed by data and by the experiences of Black men, so that Black men can have that say without anyone else trying to manipulate them or try to make them say something different or make them have project a particular agenda or any type of propaganda or anything that works against them, or to try to influence them to work against themselves. Not at all. So when we say this was a labor of love, it was a labor of love from all of those different aspects. And I need people to understand that. I know that people are maybe in two minds about it or what have you, but the reality is the magazine is here and it is a #1 bestseller. Is not going to be #1, not gonna be in the next week or so, or we hope. What was it, BJ? Did he just say Jordan? Okay.
Hey.
Okay. We just hit the winning, buzzing 3-pointer shot. Is that what we just did? I think
we did.
I think we won the championship. That's what I think we did. Right? This won the championship. Okay. If we take a look at the cover of it, okay, it's talking about, I don't know if you guys can really see it. It's talking about the different topics, tracking our collective progress. And we're going to get to everything. We're going to get to the report card and everything. But tracking our collective progress, what gets measured gets done. What gets measured gets done. If we don't know what the problem is, nor the severity, nor the scope of a problem, how can you solve it? How can you solve it? You can't. You won't be able to. This over here, we have a problem. Admitting you have a problem is the first step in fixing it. Here's our list of problems and our strategic plan to fix them, not just a list of problems that Black men can stew over. Black men already know and can stew over their problems. Now there's a plan to help resolve those problems, right? Because that's what ultimately we were looking for, including the lionesses. We were looking for ways that to support Black men in resolving the problems that they face, right?
It's about being solution-based.
Exactly. Thank you. It's about being solution-based, not just based in the problem. Of course, the title, report card breakdown, we explore 10 reasons why Black heterosexual men and boys congregate in this space to help each other understand, address, and overcome systemic issues that have plagued them for decades. Okay? This is, and I'm holding it up extended so y'all can see how beautiful this is, how quality it is. And it's just 99 cents for now. Right? I got a super chat. Thank you, Black Wizard. So this is the problem with monetizing the space. People who are seeking the truth and trying to solve a problem are put on the back burner for profiteering. It's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Thank you, Mobile, for the cash app.
Preach.
Definitely. So I want to give the floor to my brothers on the topics that are actually covered in the magazine, right? Because the topics that are covered, just to list them for the crowd, the topics that it actually covers is lack of Black male agency, which we talk about so much in this space. Okay? And then there is the poor health conditions. All right? That's something that we don't talk about as much in the space is Black men's health. It's an unpopular topic. Then we got high incarceration rates, which I personally believe should be talked about even more in the space, since it disproportionately affects Black men. Then we got chronic homelessness, which no one likes to talk about. Chronic joblessness, again, no one likes to talk about. Chronic fatherlessness, and I think that's a real key issue, because we talk about the lack of fathers, and then in this space, some people will, disparage fatherhood, becoming a father, and particularly being a stepfather. That's really maligned in this space. We got poor educational support, negative media portrayal, which this magazine and the ones following it actually addresses. We got persistent barriers to wealth. And last but definitely not least, we got constant threat of extinction. So what we're going to do right now, without further ado, is we're going to actually really go into these topics. And we're going to start with Sheep, with lack of Black male agency. Let's see what our good brother got to say. Hey.
First, I want to shout out the entire A-Game family, the entire A-Game nation. We appreciate all you guys' support for pushing us to #1. We love y'all. Salute. Now, if you are following from your magazine, ladies and gentlemen, the first subject matter where it says the Black Manosphere report card, yes, we graded the space based on these 10 issues. The first issue is the lack of Black male agency. The lack of Black male agency. Now, we graded it a D. And it's not because it's totally non-existent in the space. Of course, y'all know here on Sheep Stay Sleep TV, that's what I speak on. Here in the A Game Nation, that's what we speak about. So it's not that it doesn't exist or no one's speaking about it. It's just that it's not being spoken on correctly. See, because when we speak on agency, we're speaking on the act upon what you value. You see? So the reason why there's a lack of black male agency in the beginning in this space is because we are acting on what we value, which is not ourselves, brothers. So just off of the sheer definition of what agency entails shows the lack right there, because we're missing value there. And that value is the value of us. Understanding that we create our own identities and we identify ourselves in this world as we've always done in the past, brothers. See, when I speak about black male agency, I'm not speaking on something that's new. I'm not speaking on a new concept. I'm not speaking on a concept that anybody, created, like it's a new age concept. No, this is something that you can take all the way back to our ancestors, no matter which one they may be. But you see, we practice black male agency based on what? The proof of a value system. And we practice here in the A Game Nation the 10 life values, which teaches a man to value himself first and then value what he does. So the lack of black male agency in this space is proof that brothers are practicing a value system that is not valuing us. You see? And let's go into a little more history, a little more recent history. When we talk about the Underground Railroad, a lot of us think of Harriet Tubman, right? They always feed us the gynocratic narrative, brothers. But the father of the Underground Railroad was William Steele. That's who actually started the Underground Railroad, and it started 20 years before we heard of Harriet Tubman. Okay, now, ladies, this is not me here trying to, discredit what you guys brought to the table, but these are just the facts. The Underground Railroad was started by black men. His name was William Steele, and he helped 800 slaves free themselves. See, what Harriet Tubman was, she was a conductor. She was the one who led slaves to the Underground Railroad. She was not the leader or the founder. You see? So, brothers, understand when we speak on black male agency in this space, this is not something new. This is something that we've always done, because black men, we create culture. We create culture. Everything that we see today dealing with arts, far as music, all of these things, we've created it, and we've created it to enhance our quality of living. So you have to understand the importance of this, brothers. This has nothing to do with us getting together just for financial purposes. No, black male agency requires having a value system that guides you socially, politically, and economically. This is why in the 10 life value success system, salute to our brother, Dr. Holman, it's a 10 life value success system, because it teaches us how to be successful in all areas of our life. Because once again, brothers, we cannot be an agency to each other just in the form of finance or just in the terms of business. No. Agency is developed socially, politically, and economically. See, we could sit up here and talk about us getting money together all day, but it never works because we don't know how to socialize together. Our social skills is damaged. They're damaged.
Definitely.
And this is why, go ahead, sis. And this is exactly why. This is exactly why we have no political power. Because the first step in politics is unity. See, the Democrats all believe on one thing. The Republicans all believe on one thing. The liberals believe all on one thing. See, they're unified socially. This is why you can have a body politic, which ties into politics. So when we speaking on agency, brothers, we're not just speaking on in terms of let's get together and build a business. No, we got to build with each other socially, politically, and economically. We have to heal and build together, brothers. Because
I'm sorry.
Because that is the only way. You might have to go on mute, but that's the only way that we are going to continue to survive out here, fellas. Because as you're going to hear further on in this presentation, you're going to hear the threat of our extinction. And if we don't start at number one, which is understanding that we must unify, understanding that we are our own agency. We are, no one else. Because all other men understand that they are their own agency. That's why they act accordingly. And it's time for us to start doing so. And this magazine shows a step toward that. So, brothers, as I always say, we got to heal before we build because we are our own agency. And the lack of black male agency is why we can continue to be portrayed in the media the way we are, the way we can keep getting murdered out in the streets. And you got young boys' bodies laying out in the street overnight. That is because we don't understand we are our own agency, fellas. So let's get it together. Salute.
I think it might be safe for me to come off mute now. Because I was amen and not on mute. So please forgive me. Ebo Sosa.
What's going on?
Ebo Sosa. More than waiting with bated breath to hear what you got to say, brother.
Oh man. First of all, let me say thank you. Thank you, DS1. That was wonderful, man. And I didn't know that. I had no idea about Mr. Steele. So you done hit me to something totally new. Twisted me all up. Ever since childhood, we've been taught that Harriet Tubman was the creator, founder, conductor, all that stuff of the Underground Railroad. So thank you for dropping that gem. But now it's time to talk about chronic joblessness and chronic fatherlessness. And I chose these real fast because I'm familiar with them, extensively familiar with them. And it's funny to me how one literally is the catalyst for the other. Because when you start, as if you have a family and you got a job and you run into trouble, you lose it, sooner or later, your family life is going to be in jeopardy. And we can talk about the problems all day and read all the charts from the Bureau of Labor Statistics about how black men have the highest unemployment rates and of any race and gender group and the lowest labor force participation and employment rates amongst men. We can talk about all that, man. But like Young Manhood said earlier, since the Black Manosphere is a solution-based magazine, that's what I'm about to focus on, a solution. So, you guys, I hope you don't mind, but I'm about to be totally vulnerable with you guys and the viewers. Totally. If I was to make an honest resume of all the jobs I've had thus far in my life, That should probably be about 6 pages long, man. No joke. It's horrible. So I'm very familiar with joblessness, extremely familiar with joblessness. But guess what? I've never collected an unemployment check ever in life, and I never will. But why is this? Because of my bounce back game. I don't allow myself to wallow in my failures. I get up and keep it going. But I digress. So as far as joblessness goes, I personally feel that there are two solutions to joblessness amongst Black men. I think there's a long-term solution and a short-term solution. The long-term solution is entrepreneurship, of which I'm not well versed in yet. However, hell, this magazine and A-Game Supplements is a literal example. Own a company, create jobs, employ the right people for success, lower unemployment. Simple and plain, right? So now the second solution to joblessness is what I call the blitz. And that's the one I'm most familiar with. The blitz is what you do when you at rock bottom, when you unemployed with child support all up your ass, right? There's no time for excuses. Fuck that felony. You need a job. All right. Now, I have a personal playbook of styles and methods that work, no matter where you live or what condition you're in, but I am not sharing that here. That's for you to get with me about, and I will consult you, and we can work something out. But so I'll say this. Listen, I've been there 3 times, down the bottom, living out the trunk, or squatting in a shitty ant rodent infested trailer, living on the road in my truck, even, man. Having to sleep in the cold of winter with no heat, and wear a skull cap with 2 long sleeve shirts and sweater on top of that. 3 pair of socks, drawers with sweatpants over the drawers, with jeans over the drawers and the sweatpants to keep warm. Holding your hands and face over a candle to keep warm. You ever have to use a bottle for a toilet? Or have you ever had to wipe your ass with a sock? Or maybe some leaves? Anyway, I'm starting to go off. So let me stick to the point. The point I'm making is I've been there. So my methods work. I know how to keep a job after you've lost it. I know how to get it back. All right. Now, let me move on and talk about something that I'm pretty sure that I and many of you who are watching are familiar with, which is fatherlessness. Shout out to you, Ronan, because you sparked my creativity on this, brother. We as a people have been suffering from a mandemic for generations. I was raised by a single mother until I was 16. My wife was raised by a single mother. My mother, my father were raised by single mothers. Hell, I got 3 daughters. I wasn't in the life of my oldest until she was in her late teens. I don't even see the one in the middle, mainly because we live on opposite sides of the country. I mean, we talk. Yeah, we talk, but it always ends up to where me and my ex-wife get into it over some ridiculousness when I talk about visitation. And again, we could talk about the problems all day. We know that 1 in 4 children are born without a father in the home. We know the out of wedlock birth rates and percentages. We know the percentages of single mothers. We see the numbers. That's all we talk about on here. So why are so many Black fathers hardly in the home? I mean, but despite what y'all hear on YouTube, Black men did not just suddenly gather up in mass and decide to vacate family responsibilities. That ain't how the shit works. The real reasons are economics, health, substance abuse, and like Kendra said earlier, most of all, incarceration. So what's the solution to this, y'all? Well, since you gave me this assignment, I had to analyze my own life, and especially my experience during and after divorce. And y'all know what I figured out? DS1, you want to know what I figured out, man? Bishop? You know, let me get my YouTube on right now, like how everybody else does. In the chat room, y'all press 1 if you want to know what I figured out, man.
What you figure out?
I want to know what he figured out. Y'all press 1.
Hit the ones. Call them out. Who putting 1? I want to know. Y'all see ones out there? Because I ain't got the chat up.
We got Vincenzo, Tom Malone, Stefan, Cardier, C Truth, Bishop, Ruminant.
Yeah. See, that to me is equivalent to the lions roaring right there. That's what hypes me up. Like I said, I had to analyze my own life, y'all, and I had to I figured out that I was never taught how to be a father or a husband. And you can't do anything in life without some sort of model or training. And if you try to do something without the proper training, you fail. See, brothers, in my humble opinion, the solution to fatherlessness is impulse control. We need to learn how to control our impulsivity. Black men, we got quicker physical reactions than black women. Black women, they got quicker emotional reactions. All my life, I was reacting without thinking. Get a job, get turned off, tired or fired, find another. And you know what? I applied the same formula when it came to the woman. See, we're going to be men because that's all we can be, man. I mean, we men. But we need to, we really got to know when we're ready for manly responsibilities like becoming a father, a husband, and especially mating. But the lack of proper training on impulse controls got everything reversed, man. And we saw an example of that yesterday on, yo, let me stop. Let me chill. I don't even want to go there. I was about to say something stupid. See, y'all, that's what I'm talking about. That's an example of my lack of impulse control. Because I was about to say, talk about old boy that was on Bernard Riley's channel yesterday. And I don't have to do that. So let me apologize if they watch. And
yeah, we number 1, bro. We number 1. We ain't gotta worry about them. Yeah. We number 1.
We gotta worry about them. But at the same time, we can be real about what's happening and speak truthfully about what's going on. So, we don't necessarily got to call names and point specific people out, but I'm all about pointing out the pathology because that's what healing need to be. But I'll mute up.
Indeed. No, I'm actually, we can move on to the next, man. I don't even want to say nothing else. I've given my 2 cents on what I feel like the solutions to these problems are, and if anybody want to hit me up, ebososa@gmail.com, come holler at me.
And I just want to say this real quick. I just want to applaud my brother Ebo for just being vulnerable like that, because these are real problems that Black men really go through. And he's really exposing certain things that he's actually lived real life experiences. So that's something that we need to keep in mind, that Black men do really go through these things. So I just want to applaud Ebo for that.
That's a good,
thank you, brother.
That's a good point, because we do have to acknowledge that, because a lot of brothers have went through it and are currently still going through it, and they feel like it's nobody who understands or anything like that. So you're absolutely right, my brother, young manhood. Salute to you, Ebo. You know you my big bro. So
and kudos to you for catching yourself, because some people just, when they fly off the handle, they don't even think about what they're saying. But like you said, you had something to work on and you caught yourself. So again, also kudos to you for that as well.
Yeah, man, I'm trying to get good at that. Really trying to, self-control, impulse control. I mean, I'm trying to, I don't care who you are, you're never going to master it. There's always going to be something to press your buttons, something's going to come up. What up, Ronan?
Two things. One, you should never apologize for that. And two, understand it takes time. I'm still doing it.
True indeed. So. You're right. Absolutely right. All right. Thank you, y'all.
Salute. Ronan, thank you next, bro.
Actually, we were going clockwise, I think. So I think it's BJ that's next.
Well, I wasn't going
to dispute it. On you, Bishop.
Look, I wasn't going to dispute it.
We calling on the bishop for a word today. That's what we calling on.
But my brother Eba, I don't know about him. He was going at it. I'm like,
he was going in. I'm like, well, continue on, my brother.
Right. Sure. We got Deacon Ebo Sosa. The deacon was teaching, but I enjoyed him because it was real and authentic, and it came from a genuine place, you know. But mine's is on poor educational support, and also it's also going to be holding hands with persistent barriers to wealth. And the first one, you know, with the educational, I actually work in the field of education, and our Black boys are really, really falling behind, and they don't make no qualms about putting them in special ed. Matter of fact, it happened to a sibling of mine. I'm going to leave it there, but they were quick to throw him in special education, and they were trying to basically just like get rid of the problem child and put him in there, and it's because he had behavioral issues. Instead of them addressing that, they want to quickly throw him in there. Personally, for me, I went through speech class. I had a stuttering problem along with my brother. He had a stuttering problem as well. His was a lot worse than mine, but they put me in speech class. And the reason why I'm making a correlation, because we are both Black boys who were put in programs very rapidly and quickly. Now, I'm thankful for my speech teacher because she took her time out and really, really helped me. And the reason I'm talking about that is because we don't have a lot of a lot of people in education that actually look out for our boys, because we're very far and few between in staff of Black people. So we're actually at the mercy of other people, and they actually allow our boys to slip through the cracks because they're not their problem. And so the issue becomes with the prison to pipe, the school to prison to pipeline system is still flourishing, and it's going along the line with what Sheep was talking about and what Kendra was talking about as well, with the whole, if we just going to being locked up and it's just going in droves. And this actually starts with the education system. They actually make a note of who is falling behind and who can make it in the in school, who's reading at their grade level and who's actually thriving. And so it's becoming a huge problem, and we really got to address it in our households and actually also in our families. And so my brother Evo was talking about fatherlessness, and that hold hands with it as well, because we have a lot of single mothers who are working a bunch of jobs. So the young girls are getting the education that they need, because in an environment in a school environment, it's easier for girls to sit still for long periods of time. For a boy, it's not that easy, because we're actually hands on, and especially with our counterparts, how younger white boys and Asian boys and Hispanic, they have little programs for them, like Boy Scouts and things of that nature. And if you have a boy that don't have no father, either you go into sports or you just get left behind. So if you're not good in athletics, well, good luck with that if you don't have a father in the home, because nobody's not going to tend to what he really wants to do. And if they do tend to it and they have a good parent at home and it's a single parent, that's very far and few between. You see what I'm saying? So the boys normally get left behind, and we are at a high rate of dropping out of high school. I mean, a huge high rate. And I think it's less than 50% of Black boys that are actually graduating. And that's a huge issue. So you're talking about a group of men who are who is being failed by the school system and who's not really helping them. And it's a lack of support that's helping them. So this is actually, we need to talk about this and bring it forth in the forefront of our minds and actually see what's really going on with this and actually provide help for the situation. Especially as Black men, these are our future. We actually have to look at them and say, that's my young bro, that's my nephew, that's my cousin, that's my, my son, that's, just in my family. And so I need to really check on them, see if they're really getting the support they need to get through school, because a mind is a terrible thing to waste, they always say. So it really is. And we have a lot of intelligent brothers that are not putting their intelligence to use. So let's start talking about the poor educational support that we're not getting for our sons and for our cousins, nephews, and friends, children, whoever. And we got to address this issue as soon as possible. And my next one is, the barriers to wealth. Now that actually goes hand in hand with, the lack of educational support, because more than likely, if you don't have a good education, you're not really going to make that much money. Now, there are some people that actually, actually didn't have to have that problem. Again, if they're like in sports, and some people just made it through the cracks because of their talents. However, some of them people had bad contracts. We don't ever talk about that. And there's some people that lost a lot of wealth because they did not know how to read or to write. And so this actually affects the wealth. And also, if you're talking about also the common person, just even if they did graduate, we're not getting in industries and we're not able to build wealth to even step outside of that. So there are brothers who are graduating, but other groups of men are making more money than us. So there's a huge issue with that. A lot of them don't know how to, have a stock portfolio. A lot of them don't make enough money to barely make rent. And a lot of them, it's so many variables and so many things that goes along with what's blocking the wealth and with Black men. There's a huge wealth gap that's going on, and we need to address it and talk about it. Now, we could talk all day about making money, but what to do with money? We don't talk about that. So there's a huge thing that's going on, and we definitely need to talk about it and really bring it to the forefront.
Okay, so mine is the one that's up next, the negative media portrayal of Black men. And I just want to say first and foremost, I just want to thank Spencer for what he's done with the magazine. I think it was an excellent idea, an excellent start to improving the Black male image. So he already got off to an excellent start with the magazine itself. And it's important to focus on our image as Black men, because ultimately how we are portrayed will have a major impact in how we get treated as men. So if we are portrayed in a very negative light, in a very negative way, if people think ill of us, of course, that's going to have a major impact on how we get treated. So we as Black men, we cannot play into that as well. So it's not about simply just blaming mainstream society for how they depict us. We cannot buy into how they depict us. And when it comes to the manosphere and all of these beefs and stuff like that, that is actually us playing into the negative depiction of Black men. Because when other groups see us beefing about all kind of random stuff that they're not even sure why we're fighting, that is us playing into the negative media portrayal of Black men. So we can't help them. So we have to help ourselves, and we have to do what's best for our image as people, as a group. So we cannot promote what they promote, because we know that they are not going to promote us in the best light. And when I say they, I'm talking about every other group, including the Rainbow group. No offense to those people over there, but they will push only a certain type of black man. If you pay attention, the Little Nas X's, those particular type of black men, they have no problem pushing those to the forefront, pushing those on Front Street, having them represent all of us, even though we know that does not truly represent us. And speaking on just the last music video that he did, I made a video about it as well. A lot of other content creators did, but they played into a lot of stereotypes of black men. They had that prison scene, so they're really playing into a lot of stereotypes of black men. So we need to debunk those stereotypes. We need to put out our own message, and we need to portray ourselves how we want to be portrayed. And this magazine is definitely a step in the right direction.
All right,
Before, I'm sorry.
Guess it's on me. So, I want to talk about the thing as far as homelessness, and haven't seen it in real time for myself. There are brothers and sisters but we're talking about the brothers mainly. There are those who might be listening to this as we speak. There's some I know personally, some that are in the transition from being homeless to actually having a home. Some I knew passed away in the pursuit of that. Now, we have to really address it for what it really is. Before you are physically homeless, most times you experience spiritual bankruptcy and foreclosure. That's something that we don't talk about in this space or in general because it's a taboo topic. And we have national landmarks as far as like Skid Row, which I've seen many times over in my time living in LA. People living in very poor, meager conditions in the center of downtown and haven't seen nothing done to it in a good minute. So in part of that, you got brothers out there mainly who are jobless, homeless, spiritually broken for the most part, living in squalor. But aside from all that, you can have a house and still be homeless. Most people don't tend to talk about that conversation. There's people who are in relationships to where they experience the most distant, the most powerful feeling of distance within arm reach. And having a house and a home is a completely different element, and it does involve the 10 life values, especially the internal 5. And that's something that not only we looking to address, because I personally am too sick and tired of the nonsensical and circle conversations. This is why we're taking a stand and addressing these issues step by step, especially starting with ourselves. That's one main solution. Now, as far as the solution with the homelessness, that we take care of home first. We start helping with brothers, or mainly who are homeless, who are dealing with mental issues, which I've seen in real person. There's individuals who are spiritually broken, using the external 5 to find validation for that emptiness within themselves that placed them in that place, which you already know the appearance of the dwelling that's already been compromised for the most part. So you start working on the eternal 5 and working on initiatives and policies and give other brothers a chance to work and protect what they value, especially themselves. We can alleviate that homelessness problem, put serious dents into it, because in this country we have more than enough houses or dwelling places to make sure nobody's homeless, but they're not being used properly. And part of that, which everybody was talking about, leads to the constant threats of extinction. What you're seeing nowadays, people want to get into the whole gender war nonsense, which really isn't a gender war. It's an accountability crusade. It's not just people going back and forth and throwing, factual darts or whatnot. It's people not addressing the issues and the gaping holes and cancers within themselves. So while we're allowing that to happen, you have negative media portrayal. You have all these elements attacking us across the board. It's getting to the point where people not only monetizing our murders, but they're basically they're killing us for sport. But the first thing they do is kill the mind and the spirit. That's the first thing. They keep us divided over trivial issues. And the thing is, when you're divided as a group, where you don't have a sense of SOS or structure, when you have a culture that promotes your destruction, everyone's a target, especially us. And when you destroy the men, you basically destroy the culture, because again, we change the environment and you have women who nest in it. So again, with both of these things, especially the last one, this is why I support the 10 life values, because I've been in this space since 2007. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that all I've heard was talk. Personally, I'm sick and tired of hearing talk. When I do drive, I do job as an Uber. I've lost count of how many times I've talked a guy off the ledge, literally, because he was looking to either kill somebody and go to jail, or he was considering taking himself out. And I can count at least 3 times within the past 3 months. So again, it's like when we have these conversations and worry about punani politics and all trivial issues, there are far more systemic issues that demand our attention and solutions to them. So what everyone was talking about, it is all relevant, but talk doesn't mean worth nothing. As they say, faith without works is dead. And we've done enough talking. So the magazine is a start to understanding what we're talking about in this space and, and outside of it. But my thing is, I'm personally sick of living in cyberspace and trying to be an internet activist. My thing is, you got to get out here, get out there. If you're really in the field, you have to get your boots dirty. You have to be ready for some scars, ready to see some stuff that you weren't prepared to see. Because yes, you can be insulated online. You can see graphics, things like that. But I live literally 5 minutes away where damn near over 50 people have been wiped out within arm's reach. You can read in my area, it is rough out here. But the thing is, like, we have to build ourselves internally, not just with the knowledge, but a measure of self of what's worth protecting, especially our young boys, where you have initiatives, policies, you have families that teach you that you're living abortion. And we have to destroy that mental notion right then and there and start getting our boys back into actual men, exercising rites of passage that, take pride in their growth, to where they could teach the other ones, and getting tired of all of us passing down as an inheritance debt, destruction, death, and embarrassment. That's just me.
Wow. Y'all are some powerful brothers. I know that much. To hear y'all talk about how you all have experienced these things, what you know about these things. And I've always experienced this with Black men. If you sit down long enough and you just be quiet and let them talk, even talk among themselves. I've been in the corner, they didn't realize I was over there. I'm listening in on what the brothers is saying, because you learn a lot. Because brothers are talk when they don't think no woman is around, or if they consider the woman one of them. So I got a lot from guys throughout my life, and this reminds me of that. Sure.
And I was going to address the situation in the comment section. The reason why I call it the accountability crusades is, on one side, you have individuals who are slaves to their foreskin, ignoring their foresight, going head to head with some pro bono prostitutes who are expecting royal treatment with some very feral hyena behavior. And this circle of nonsense has been going on, not just from Martin Luther King Street to Wall Street to the halls of Congress and then some. It doesn't matter your title. It doesn't matter your the money you make. If you're spiritually broken, it means nothing. And we've seen that. We've seen people from top and the bottom lose not just their wealth, their health, but their minds in real time. So that's why I call it the accountability crusades, because you take onus of who you are. You learn how to defend yourself. You know how to execute the 4 P's properly by exercising the 4 T's. Shout out to Sheep Stay Sleep. You got to learn how to understand yourself, protect yourself, and protect what you value. Then you won't be out here in the line of fire like the rest of these goofies out here that most people aspire to create content in the midst of their conflict in real time.
Thank you for going ahead and addressing that. Mods, not today, mods. Okay? We are not dealing with trolls, contrarians, and gynocrats. Speaking of the word gynocrat, I have a special statement to Bayou Bunny if she's listening. The word gynocrat that we find in the glossary is a word that Bayou Bunny coined. That is her word, and we use it all the time. And through an oversight of mine, her name was not included in the glossary as a credit for that word. But I want to say right here, right now, Bayou, if you're listening, we acknowledge you. Bayou Bunny's word is gynocrat, because I see it all over the place now. Gynocrat this, gynocrat that, and that's her word. So we take no credit for the creation and the intellectual property of others. Now, with that being said, let's talk about poor health conditions. Now, health in this sector of YouTube is not a popular topic. Every time somebody get to talking about health and exercise and diet and this and that, the numbers go down. I don't want to hear that. It's not pop. Not only is it not a popular topic, but it's a topic that I find people run from unless we talking about how fat Black women are. That's the only time health is a popular topic. When we get to talking about how overweight Black women are. 80%, we like that. We like that percentage. 80% of Black women is obese. And But let's see if we like these percentages. Let's talk about some percentages that really are affecting Black men. Because I'm talking about the poor health conditions. And I'm not saying this to be combative or as a get you, gotcha. Because I was closely and personally affected by at least 3 things on this list with the men in my life who are no longer here. The first thing about it is Black men, their life expectancy dropped by 3 years over the past year. And it was really due to the pandemic. It was Black men who were suffering and dying the most. Do we know that? Do we know that it was Black men who was doing the most suffering from COVID? I want to know, did everybody know that? Because it was Black men, and what was it tied to? A lot of Black men was what? Homeless. A lot of Black men wasn't able to not only be homeless, but wasn't able to get the proper care at hospitals. Because Black men aren't supposed to have pain. And they aren't supposed to be in discomfort. And they're not supposed to be sick. And they're not supposed to be able or willing to come somewhere and say, I need help because I don't feel well and I don't want to die. But Black men have been the mules for this society at least starting from their birth or early childhood. Beast of burden. Scapegoating them for everything that this society needs a scapegoat for. But there are a listing of health conditions that affect Black men especially. The first one is heart disease. That's the leading cause of death in the United States. 1 every 4 deaths among Americans is caused by heart disease. And Black men ages 45 and over are at a greater risk, with heart disease being the number one cause of death between the ages of 45 and 64. Heart disease. How many of you in the chat, as either a Black man having experienced a heart problem, or as a woman, or one of your family members suffered from, or maybe even died from heart disease or heart attacks or any other condition of the heart? Ronan says him.
I deal with sleep apnea. If I wasn't taking A game at the time I was and dealing with a lot of the anger and pressures and stuff like that, it can lead to cardiovascular disease, where basically I could go to sleep and not wake up. So
Right.
when I had the CPAP, which I hate, so I changed something up. And if the tube went in the wrong, pipe, the air went through the wrong tube, my body immediately jump starts immediately, but it would drain me to the point where I was just groggy and lethargic. That puts a lot of stress on your heart and mind. So there's a lot of us suffering in silence in real time that we don't address these issues. We're about clout chasing and goofiness, but really it's the systemic problems are out here, which I'm challenging a lot of people who bringing these things up. Bring a list up, and as a collective, let's get to work on that. Because if it's a concern of yours, then it shouldn't be on some paper. It should be on the table, worked on. But you go ahead, Kendra.
And if I might be able to add, when it comes to your health, A game was developed by a cardiologist, so this has been tested. So it is definitely a herbal male solution that works. We all take it, and we all have the benefits of it.
Facts.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I actually had we thought we was gonna lose my dad to a heart attack because he had lost a feeling on the side of his body, and I think it was about 17. No, I was a little bit younger than that, about 15, and we thought we was gonna lose him, and we went straight to the hospital and everything, and luckily he's still here with that just that huge scare. And I also knew an elder at my church who had a heart attack at church. I was younger at the time, and he outlived it for a long time because he started taking care of his health. He started eating better, and he started living better, and he actually surpassed his wife. And he lived, and I think he had the heart attack when he was around his mid 60s, and he lived to be about 80 in his late 80s. So he took care of himself.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Michelle. Said A game was developed by Dr. Holman using his knowledge of African health remedies, and traditional Chinese medicine. Thank you so much for that.
It feels like the
Dr.
motherland
Michelle.
too. You feel like you're the motherland too.
Yes, God.
So it was heart disease. And then number 2 is cancer.
Yes.
Cancer is what took my father out. Most Black men don't live to 70. My father died about 4 or 5 days before his birthday. He would have been 71. Cancer, it started as colorectal. They didn't catch it until it was in the 3rd stage. And the reason why, I'm going to tell you why they didn't catch it until it was in the 3rd stage, because my father was a boomer. And they didn't catch it until it was in the 3rd stage because he ignored his symptoms, because he didn't want to burden nobody. He was so used to muscling through everything. He was so accustomed to let me just get past it. Let me just, if I experience a pain or I experience something like that, I don't want to sit down because it's like I'm not a man. So let me get up and work anyway. Let me get up and do what I'm doing anyway. Let me get up and do these things anyway. Because that's what I need to do. So it wasn't until he could not tolerate the symptoms anymore. He didn't know what was wrong with him. All he knew was it was some weird pain, and you know, he wasn't going to the bathroom right, and it had gone on too long. So when he finally did go to the doctors, they were incompetent, because doctors don't like to work on Black men. Doctors don't like to believe Black men. Doctors don't like to deal with the health concerns of Black men because they're not believed to be true health concerns. They like to turn Black men away and say, oh, well, you just need to take a pain pill, and they say, hey, my whole body falling apart, and you're going to hand me an aspirin? Knock that off.
Yeah.
Okay? So when he finally did go to the doctor and they ran tests, blood tests, this test, that test, and found out, sir, you have stage 3 going into stage 4 colorectal cancer. Okay? He was about 65 at that time or something like that. And so he went through the treatment because that's all that they have. See, don't get me started on health. I don't know why it's not talked about in this space, because I know everybody been in here either know a Black man with cancer or you are a Black man with cancer. Okay, whether you survived it or you're still dealing with it or whatever the case may be. They were so incompetent. And if he went through the treatments, he went through the chemo, he went through the surgery where they take out a part of your colon. Okay? Had the colostomy bag on him for a while. My father had never been that sick before at all. Running around with a colostomy bag. He had undergone the chemotherapy and it was making him feel even worse.
Yeah.
So after he had did like a round or 2 of chemotherapy, he said, oh no, I'm not doing that no more. And they said, okay, well, we can't find no more cancer cells, but we still got to keep a watch because colorectal cancer is one of the most dangerous, because when we eradicate it, the free radicals go to your other organs. So we got to keep a watch. So for maybe about a year, he was cool. He was also a diabetic, but we kind of beat the diabetes with the diet. I helped him with that. And so he was all right for a while until, you know, he's going back and forth for his checkups and things like that. And they said, well, Mr. Davis, you have cancer on your liver. We found spots on your liver. He said, I'm not doing chemotherapy. They said, okay, well, we can cut out the part. So we went back and forth to Indianapolis, to the university. And back and forth, the surgeon was excellent. She was an excellent surgeon. They performed the surgery. He was all right for a while. Had recovered his strength and stuff like that pretty decently. Then they said later on, not quite a year later, we found spots on your lungs. And that's when he resigned himself. He said, I'm going to die with this. And the reason why he said, I'm going to die with it is because I'm not going through no more chemotherapy. That's going to kill me worse that faster than this. That make me feel worse than the actual cancer. So we supported his decision because I had seen my daddy be so weak with that chemotherapy. And he said, I'm going to live my life out naturally. I'm going to let it take me out. I'm not doing that chemo. I'd rather have a better quality of life and a shorter life than a longer life and a bad quality. I can't do it. I got to be able to be a man. I got to be able to be me till I die. He old school. He was old school. So that's how he thought. And we supported that decision. I watched my father die. I watched him just go through them stages and go through them stages and go. I know you know what I'm talking about. This ain't no plaything. This ain't no game with Black men's help. I know you've been touched by it in some kind of way in this chat and beyond. By the time he passed, when he went unconscious and we took him to the ER for the last time, that doctor that morning came out to the ER waiting room and said, your father got hours, maybe days. Need to call whatever family you calling or whoever, come see him. Because he ain't getting out of here. I said, I know that. They said, ma'am, your father have cancer in every major organ in his body. He got it in his brain. He got it in his liver again. He got it in his colon again. He got it in his lungs all over. He got it in every major organ. He got it. Did y'all know that? I said, yeah, I can imagine that, because he said he wasn't going to do no chemo no more. He's let it spread. We're going to do it. They said, okay, long as y'all know. Said, we can't do nothing about it. We can't do nothing. It's a done deal. There's no surgery. There's no procedure. There's no treatment. There's no nothing we could do. I know. I said, just make them comfortable. That's all you can do, to make them comfortable as you can. That's all we can do. Black men's health is an issue for many reasons. Because they grow up believing that don't nobody care about them no way. So what's the point in telling folk that you don't feel well? What's the point in telling folks that something is wrong with you? What's the point in that? Let's move on. The third one is unintentional injuries. Injuries on the job, accidents, things of that nature. The fourth one is homicide. And what's with the homicide? The homicide is tied directly to the backwards value system that we are living under. That Black men cannot value themselves, and they don't value other Black men. And I spoke on this yesterday. The internalized Black male misandry that Black men carry. See, we can talk about a female gynocrat all day, and while that may be facts, what's other facts is that Black men have Black male misandry. Black men have a disdain for other Black men, for the lives of other Black men, for the livelihood of other Black men. The homicide is just the physical representation of one Black man trying to cancel the other one. But then we have a manifestation like that here in the manosphere. Thank you again, Ghost. Here in the manosphere, we got that. Trying to cancel Black men because we see no value in another Black man doing anything. We don't see any value in another Black man performing any type of job or coming up with any type of idea or trying to do any work. So there's no value there. This is one reason why Black men's health is in such a detrimental phase. Because like I said, he learned from birth that nobody cares about his life. So who would care about his death? Nobody cares how he lives. And nobody cares how he dies. Just like the brother Sheep pointed out earlier today, Black men's bodies laying in the street overnight because he's trash. He's viewed as a piece of trash, a piece of refuse, garbage. You can just throw it away. You don't got to deal with it. Like that monster I talked about earlier today in my earlier video. Treated them young Black babies like trash. One of them was a little Black girl. The other one was a little Black boy. Trash. She literally put them in a bag. They grow up believing and thinking and being told and being shown that nobody cares about them. Just slap the label on them. You got ADD, you got ADHD, something wrong with you. As a little boy, ain't nothing wrong with him, but he curious and he anxious. And, you know, he got a lot of energy. That's all going on with him. If you stop feeding them Fruit Loops and candy in the morning all the time, he might be able to sit down a little bit more. But instead of thinking about the little boy as a little boy, he's a mule again. He's a beast of burden again. Slap the ADHD title on him, and we'll get some money for each kid we do that to. And let's do it to the black boys. Why? Because he ain't got no value. He ain't gonna be nothing but fodder for the system anyway. So throw him in there. Let's continue on. We got stroke at number 5.
Yeah.
And we have diabetes at number 6. Now, diabetes, type 2 diabetes take out a lot of folk. And I'm here to tell you that I have seen with my own 2 eyes type 2 diabetes be defeated with a good diet. If you stop eating all them refined sugars and carbohydrates, because it's insulin resistance in your body. Your body can no longer produce insulin to convert sugar into glucose, which is the job of insulin. So when your body, your pancreas, can no longer produce the insulin that converts the refined sugar you consume to glucose that your body can use and then expel, your bloodstream fills up with sugar that your body don't know what to do with. It doesn't know how to convert it all because the pancreas shuts down.
Yep.
That's severe insulin resistance. The insulin levels stay elevated no matter what you do. The only way to break that is you got to stop drinking alcohol. You got to stop eating sugar. You got to stop eating carbs. Like, you got to stop. And over time, the insulin, your body will begin to produce insulin again because the resistance will go down. That's what I learned in order to help my father overcome the diabetes that he had. He had type 2, taking insulin. Because that's why you got to take insulin on type 2 diabetes, because your body doesn't do it anymore. I said, no, that sounds like a diet issue, and I'm not no doctor. I said, that sounds like a diet issue, Daddy. Let me look that up. Found out, that's what led me to knowing about keto. I said, well, let me figure this out for my daddy, because he's going through too much. He's going through too much. So I started figuring out, okay, what can he eat? What can he not eat? What should he be eating? They fool you in the grocery store. Oh, this ain't got no sugar, but it's got something in it that's worse than sugar. They got that aspartame or aspartame, however they say it. Sucralose, xylitol, all of this other kind of, maltitol. That's worse than the sugar. That create the free radicals in your body that produce the cancer. Y'all got to understand what's going on and why we got to talk about these issues in this space. I know you call yourself it's unpopular, but you're dying of it. Literally, it's killing you. And we don't want to talk about what's killing you and how to stop it from killing you. When some of the solutions is the diet and the exercise that we lack in this country as a general rule. Because they feed us crap all the time. And men are men. They just gonna go put something on their stomach when they hungry. That's what they gonna do. Especially our men. He gonna go in there and make a sandwich. Okay? He gonna make a hookup. Brothers, I love you, but y'all will make a hookup in a minute. It'd be the most grossest thing I ever seen in my life. You'll boil something, and then you'll put noodles on top of it. It's like, what is that? And you will just sit there and eat it. Like, boy, if you don't knock it off, eat that crazy stuff. Talking about this will be all right, because that's what our men is taught. That you do anything, just to make it through. Yeah, I'm hungry. It don't matter about the quality of it. It was quick, it was fast. I ain't got no time to be sitting over no stove trying to figure out no recipe. Hand me one of them things of noodles. I'm gonna boil the water. That's about all the food prep I'm doing. I'm about to boil some water. I might boil an egg. Okay, and then that's it. Boy, cut me up a hot dog in it or something. Open up a can, and I'm Gucci. I'm good. I'm not doing nothing else. Sisters, that's where we step in at. That's where we step in at as women. We got to be able to say, like I did with my father, like I did with my late husband, what is we eating? What have I been feeding him? Because see, you got to know better to do better. Because I'm feeding them stuff that I think is all right until I find out it's not. Because there's something wrong. So when I looked up those things and found some of the correlations of the illnesses, I helped my daddy out with them. He stopped taking insulin. The cancer took him, but the diabetes was gone. It was gone. I said, no, Daddy, you ain't gonna have to keep going back and forth to these hospitals, because they're not trying to cure you, they're trying to treat you. And there's a difference. See, when you're getting treated, you're a customer. It ain't no profit in it if they cure you. And that's what the women have to do. That's what we have to learn. We got to learn that. Women have to learn the art of healing. And part of that healing is through food. What we eat and what we feed our husbands and what we feed our children. We got to be mindful of those things. Let me go on. Chronic lower respiratory diseases. I told you I was affected directly. My little brother died of severe chronic asthma. He had been an asthmatic since he was 2. In and out of hospitals, being intubated. It was severe. He was on Advil. He was on prednisone, which is a steroid. And he was on, albuterol. They get it albuterol. And he had a machine, a nebulizing machine that he needed to have with him pretty much at all times. Because at any time, he could have a severe attack. Catch him off guard. He wouldn't even have to be doing nothing. He was 27, a young man, when he succumbed to that asthma. Okay? He had been going back and forth to the hospital. They was dismissing him. Give him that little old pump and send him home. He needed more than that. He said, no, I need better treatment than this, because I got the nebulizer and stuff like that. It's not really working. I'm coming back and forth to the ER too many times. Last time I spoke to him was about 5 days before he passed away. He was in the hospital. He said, Mama, I don't want to come back here no more, Mama. Because he called me Mama. I said, I know, baby. He said, I ain't coming back in here. I said, what you mean? He said, I'm not coming back in here. because they're not helping me. They're not helping me. I said, well, I know you tired of going back and forth. He said, yeah, I'm tired. I've been doing this since I was a kid. I'm tired. Tired now. I'm tired, mama. And he said it with such conviction. He said, I'm tired, mama. And I knew the sound of that tired. Mamas know. I knew what he was saying to me. And he meant it because the last time when he had that asthma attack, he didn't call nobody. All he did was walk out on the balcony so we could see him, so somebody could discover him. And that's what happened. He didn't want to be in the house and you had to smell him. He walked out on his balcony and we found him laid on the balcony. He laid down because he said he wasn't going in the hospital no more, and he meant that. This is what goes on with our Black men. And he was surrounded by those who loved him and always tried to help him. And I'm not saying this for sympathy. I'm saying this because it's relevant to this list. I know that there are people in this chat room that have been touched this way by one or more of the things on this list. Let's go down. Kidney disease. My late husband died of that. See, you see what I'm saying? I was touched 3 times by 3 different things on this list. Don't tell me this ain't important. Don't tell me this is not a topic we need to cover. But we'll sit up on panels and talk about whether or not Russell Wilson is a simp for marrying Sierra for 5 hours and have a large crowd trying to figure that out. Y'all don't hear me? We don't know how it look that all of these things is affecting Black men. And don't nobody, when you look around the manosphere, ain't nobody talking about none of it. Ain't nobody discussing none of it. Ain't nobody concerned about none of it. Nobody's having a deep discussion about none of these things. How can we survive like this? We'd rather talk about whether your name was included in the magazine rather than talk about the topics that's in the magazine that directly affect Black men in a tragic manner. It's not a joke. It's not playtime. Playtime is over. It's time to start talking about these solutions. And if you ain't part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And it is what it is. We about being about the solutions over here in the A-Game family. That's what we're doing. How to resolve these issues. How to discuss the issues and not just discuss them for the sake of talking, but how to actually put some plan into motion about how at least the individual Black men in their lives can begin to resolve some of these issues that they are facing. It is of the utmost importance. But we would rather sit around and talk about whether or not Simone Biles was wrong or not for pulling out of the Olympics that you don't even watch. Wouldn't watch a gymnastics floor routine at gunpoint. But you want to talk about whether or not Simone Biles is a traitor to the country. Knock it off. Knock it off. Don't nobody care. She came back in and won a bronze. Where are all the panels about that then, since it was so important? Where are all the panels about that? conversations. These are the conversations where you got to be vulnerable. These are the conversations where you need to be candid with other Black men and say, this is what I'm going through, brother. This is what that's been happening to me. Has it been happening to you? And what can we do about it? Let me go down. I see your hand, Ronnie. Let me go down the list. Kidney disease. That's another one that can get dealt with diet. I done told the story before. I'm not going to go back into it. But that's one of the first things I did. That's one of the first things my late husband's nephrologist told me. He said, you got to change what he's eating, else he ain't going to be here. You'll be burying him in 6 months. When he got to the hospital, one of the kidneys was gone. They said it was shriveled up to about this big. The other kidney was at less than a percentage of functionality, meaning it wasn't functional. When he got there, he was already at end-stage renal disease. Why? Because he didn't want to be a burden. He had been having headaches and all these symptoms. And I'm saying, baby, you get migraines. I ain't never known you to get no migraines. You know, what's going on with your health? Let's go to the doctor. No, I'm all right. Because he want to work. Because he want to do the stuff that he been doing. So he take an aspirin and keep going. He in pain. He's suffering. I'm watching him suffer. I'm like, nah, baby, something ain't right. It ain't right. We need to see about it. Nah, I'm good. Y'all know how brothers is. Nah, I'm good. They'll say I'm good, and half their arm be hanging off by a ligament, and he'll say he good. Head be hanging by one vertebrae, and he'll say he good. He'll sit there and lie dead in your face and tell you he good. He be half dead, 1 foot in the grave, one on a banana peel, talking about he good. You ain't good. Boy, ain't nothing good going on. This is ridiculous. Finally, the headaches had got too bad, and it wasn't the headaches. What triggered it is he couldn't eat anymore. And the reason he couldn't eat anymore is because his body wouldn't retain food. Every time he ate, he threw it up. Like a bulimic. Every time he ate, he threw it up. Every time it was nauseating. It was like, he would get like these headaches. Every time he ate food. First, I thought it was the dish. I said, well, you know, that made you sick? He said, well, yeah, it made my stomach hurt. And then it was day 2. Then it was day 3. I said, no, we got to go to the ER. He was weak. Couldn't hardly stand. He said, I don't know what's going on. I said, if you don't get in the car, we'll see about it. Took him to Cook County. When they got him, took him back there, he was back there for a long time. You know, if you're familiar with Cook County, you go to the ER, that you might as well sit there all day because you're going to be there all day. If you ain't half dead when you come in there, you're going to sit there all day. They did triage and he didn't come back out. I said, what's going on with my husband at? Went back there, they said, oh, he in the red zone. The red zone? This ain't no football game. What you mean he in the red zone? Oh, we trying to prevent him from having a stroke. Which was another thing on the list. Because his blood pressure, ma'am, is like 240 something over like 190 something. We're trying to stop him from dying. Didn't even know he was that sick. Because he trying not to be a burden on nobody. Come on. Let's go. Septicemia, for those who don't know what septicemia is, it happens when chemicals released are in the bloodstream to fight an infection and triggers inflammation throughout the body. So it leads to damage across multiple organs, causing them to fail, and in extreme cases will lead to death. And number 10 is hypertension, high blood pressure. Listen, let me tell you something. That was what caused severe hypertension, is what shut down my late husband's kidneys. It shut it down because the blood pressure, literally high blood pressure means the blood is being pumped through your arteries at too high of a rate. It's too much pressure. That's why it's called hypertension. Your heart is beating and the blood is going through your arteries too hard. Okay? That is what took his kidneys away. It took his left eye away. And it was threatening his brain, which is why he had a seizure and died. Because it was too much pressure. And he was on his medication. And it still happened. He had what they call malignant hypertension. The type of hypertension that's going to kill you. Because it's going to shut your organs down eventually. Because at first they couldn't figure out why he had kidney failure. You don't drink, you don't smoke. You know, you don't do this, you don't do that. Why your kidneys fail? They couldn't figure it out. Till they started looking at his blood pressure. They said, oh, your blood pressure is horrible. Even after we got it down, it wasn't down. Your blood pressure is out of control. This gonna kill you. Listen. It's not no joke. I know Ronan has something to say. Go ahead, Ronan, if you can remember your point.
Oh, I remember. And I got to give a disclaimer first. Personally, you can put my email in the chat because this isn't A game related. This is personal. And we got to be honest with ourselves, fellas. We have been taught, actually indoctrinated, to be the outright most arrogant hypocrites at our detriment. Where you see with Big Pharma, you talk about the monies in the medicine. We've been taught to take pride in monetizing mediocrity, celebrating foolish nonsense that doesn't pertain to us or entertain us. Well, actually, my fault. It does entertain us on the road to extinction. The whole thing about the 10 life values, where a lot of guys are spiritually broken, a lot of guys' health are compromised, families are broken, their appearance is trash, their dwelling, which happens to be the internet, where you have individuals who are broadband bloods, cyberspace crips, and terabyte thugs, having these lofty demands on things that should not ever pertain to you because you're screwed up. I'm part of this space, which thankfully we're taking a stand on this, because I'm not comfortable just sitting here pissing and moaning because a chick dumped me 30 years ago and I have not recovered from it. That's a shattered individual that needs to work on himself above all else before he deals with anything. Respectfully, out of this space, I tell the fellas, and they echo my sentiments, we're supposed to literally fuck the shit out of our purpose. Because me personally, and I'm at to get vulgar, I'm tired of all of us in this space and those in the clouds. I'm tired of us getting fucked over, not just by people on the outside, but a lot of these charlatans want to sit out here and be these snakes and call you bro and homeboy, and you looking for these internet golden calves who piss on you every fucking time you think it's lemonade. That's my personal assessment, because I've been here since 2007. I got off the phone earlier talking to one of the OGs of the space, and I told him everything that's going on, like as far as what we're doing. This is the exact same thing, damn near verbatim, that he was trying to put out here too, among the others. One of the biggest cancers in this space is revisionist history. See, if you don't know your history or those who made history in the space, you're doomed to repeat it or warp the path that we were looking to set. That's a problem. You got people who are looking comfortable to be king shit on top of a garbage pile, rather be a part of a forward progressive movement that helps the brothers that actually you can see in real time. But see, you got these prosperity pimps, you got these pro bono thoughts, these edgeless oracles who monetize your mediocrity and your destruction. And here you are sitting there, I'm team this, I'm team that, when really your team is the Washington Generals of society. That's one of the main reasons I salute A Game and those who are for progressive, because all we hear is individuals talking about that. My thing is like, I'm cool with people getting money in this space. You know, again, this is a capitalist society. You're supposed to make money to make things happen. But if your actions, words, and intent aren't working in concert, I'm going to say it bluntly, you're full of shit. Roland Martin said that. And the thing is, individuals talking about, I got clout, I got honor, I say bull to the shit. Because there's brothers out here who said that we talk about their issues. There's some who've been silenced because they had serious issues. And even if they've fallen on the wayside, you just kick them to the curb and demand a fucking super chat. That's one of the main things that pisses me the fuck off about this space. Now, granted, this is just me talking. I'm just a small YouTuber. That's cool. But I'm looking to be a part of a movement that transcends us as Black men. I might not be here for the needed changes, but I want to be the one to sit there and push the car to get it to rolling. That's my job. I don't have children. I had 2 twins that were killed before they even matured by some raggedy ass drag. Now, could I sit there and piss and moan about it all day? No, because I gave her the DNA. I gave her the opportunity to destroy something that I created. This is the whole life about 10 life values. We own our mistakes. We know we aren't perfect. But the thing is, we as a collective work on ourselves and each other. We have outstanding issues. And all this time, you want people to get monetized for being outright derelict, and not just in their masculinity, but our fucking duty as men as creators. Not content or conflict creators, but creators of actual neighborhoods, functioning communities, and kingdoms. Not these ethnic outposts you see out here every day where you got friends out here falling by the wayside and the news sit there that doesn't give a shit about what you're doing, but moving on to sports and weather. But I say, with all due respect to A Game, that's what I'm thinking. I had to get that off my chest because it was driving me nuts. Out of respect of the peers, I had to sit there and say it because for far too long, that's one of the biggest elephants in the room. And people are looking there to put a throw rug on it to ride around it to oblivion. And I'm not just going to sit here and let that ride. That's just me personally. So I apologize, Kendra.
And if I could just add in on that, this whole thing is bigger than us, and it's bigger than this space. Everything that we're doing, it's bigger than all of that.
And as far as health, brothers, and salute to my brother Ronan for that, and for what my brother Young Manhood has been saying. It's very important that if we don't become focused on these issues, we're going to continue to have the mental health problems we had. See, because when you practice the backward value system, which teaches you how to be a human doing and not a human being, this is why y'all dudes are so crazy online. This is why 1 minute you could be on a panel saying you for Black men and then get up on a panel and say you're going to sabotage the efforts of other Black men. You're suffering from a mental illness. All of this capping going on in it, that's mental illness. That's a mental illness, man. And I that's why I always say, man, we got to heal before we build. We talking about physically and mentally when we speak on the health value, which is what our sister, the Crimson Cure, is speaking on, which is the second most important value in a man's life. So, brothers, think before you speak, because there's men out here who can hear your mental illness.
I want to thank you for saying that. I want to clarify something that's going around because today is the day for clarity on a lot of things. The trademark is not for the magazine. Father's Time owns that. The trademark is for the term the Black Manosphere. That was trademarked so that it could be used to create the magazine in the first place and not have somebody else later on down the line be able to profit off of efforts made by Black men, which ties into what Brother Sheep is saying. The pathology is real. Because I got another one to cover. I got high incarceration rate to cover. But before I get there, the cognitive dissonance is real. We fuck black men on the one hand, and then on the other hand, we gonna sabotage everything you do. Because I don't like him. I don't like the way he's sitting there. I don't like what he said 2 months ago. I don't like what he typed in a chat room 3 years ago. I'm counting his money and he getting too much of that. I'm counting his money and he ain't getting enough of it. Whatever he do, if I don't have a say-so in it, my hand in it, and able to control it and sabotage it when I want to, I don't like it. That's what we're dealing with. And it's not just about the magazine. It's actually bigger than that. Because this has been going on to the detriment of black men for a very, very long time. This is why Tulsa and Rosewood and stuff can't be recreated. Not only is it a backwards value system that's being followed, but the self-sabotage. Don't know what success look like and ain't trying to have nobody else know what it look like if you feel like you can't get $1 out of it. Want to be able to run it, but don't want to put no effort into it. You ain't put no time, sweat, energy, money, nothing into it. Nothing. But want to be able to run it and say and dictate who can do it and who can't. Who that sound like? Sound like a gynocracy to me. Because that's what they like to do. Run something and then don't put nothing into it. I just want to run it. I just want to say, well, you need to do that, and black men need to do this, and black men need to do that. Ain't gonna bust a grape in a fruit fight. You ain't gonna bust a grape in Welch's backyard. But you study got something to say about what black folk should do and what black men need to do and what he ain't doing, and he ain't doing this, and he need to build a spell bill. And don't make no mistake. I want you to spell bill and don't close your eyes. Don't Google it. Just spell it from memory. That's what I want you to do. I double dog dare you to not mix up the U with the I. Figure out which one come first. The U or the I. Figure it out. Okay? This is the stuff that I'm talking about. The sabotage that we do not only to ourselves, but to each other. See somebody come along doing something, and I'm gonna tell you what I know. I see you with your hand up, Ron, and I'm gonna get to you in a minute, beloved. But I'm gonna tell you where that self-sabotage come from. This sabotage come from, I don't like when somebody come along and do something I probably should have done, and it casts a light on what I'm not doing, or how much I don't do, or how many excuses I just made about why I can't do stuff, when another individual come along and just actually do it. Then that casts a light on me. Well, why didn't you do it? Why didn't you do it? Why didn't you do it then? Sorry about that. It casts a light on you. And like roaches, we don't like no lights. What do roaches do when you put lights on them? They scatter. Well, they don't like lights. because roaches like to do what they do, nasty up your house in the dark. They don't want you to see them because they don't want you to step on them. They know what's going to happen to them when you see them. They know what's going to happen when you see them. Go ahead, Ronan. I'm sorry.
What I want to say is, like, above all else, this isn't about anything promoting any internet Mandingo fights, because that's never gotten us anywhere. Straight up. My whole thing is, it's more than just this space. This is just a space where people communicate. We need to translate what we've created here into the outside world. We were meant to build things. We make things cool. Thing is, like, we have creative people here. You have people who are skilled in so many things, and I view everybody as an artist. We have our respective canvas that we create masterpieces on. It's all about that creative synergy, that empathy, not just for others, but mainly for ourselves. The thing that pisses me off the most is because there are brothers out here who are muted out because what they say isn't popular, or it hits too close to home, or we're playing accountability dodgeball mainly within ourselves. And this is an individual who's talking to you, who has the scars to prove it. I should not be here because I didn't have spiritual value that I needed. We're talking about, aside from that, with a 25 pound metal pallet with a flared end that hit one and left a scar here. Someone who considered and even attempted suicide up to 4 times throughout a lifetime. Individuals who've been molested twice. Conversations that tend to get muted out because it's not popular, because it's not getting enough clicks, it's not getting enough views, it's not getting enough money on the back of people's brokenness. This is where the nonsense stops. If we could sit there and make things happen which we value, which we shouldn't value, all we knew was to switch the values within ourselves and for ourselves, and you'd be amazed at what we can create. That's mainly what me, myself, A-Game family, and there's others outside of here who would love to see. We keep hearing people pissing and moaning about what's the solution? What's the solution? When you present a solution, you got the demolition crew willing to blow it up because they're not at the face of the billboard, or there was a signature on there that didn't seem right. Bitching over minor issues. Thing is, we are the answer as a people. We were the answer we're waiting for. That's why I mentioned to my brothers, my sister here, like, we're the curse breakers. How many of us are 3rd or 10th generation bankrupt? We could be that one, could be a millionaire, a multimillionaire, entrepreneurs, actual architects for our communities. We don't need Zaddy to lead us by the hand and give us an outright fucking bando. Again, it takes a great deal of empathy, courage, values, and sweat equity to convert these ethnic outposts that are basically churning us up into fucking ground beef into thriving communities that we can not only put our name on by our actions, but so we give something to where our children ain't got to worry about a job. We just hand them the keys to the empire that we created. That's me being angry and passionate about, because I'm sick and tired of people crying about the answers that are sitting right in front of us. That's just it.
Thank you for that, Brother Ron. You got me fanning like church. You in here speaking the word.
Oh God, oh God.
There we go. And let the choir say amen.
Amen. No, but this is real. I think we don't take this serious. I think we think this is a plaything. And when I say we, I'm talking about as a collective on this platform that we are given. We have a right to speak and say what's on our minds and what's on our hearts. but people choose to use it for cheap entertainment and just make a whole mockery out of what they wish they could see can happen with them. See, when I think about it, it's a bunch of Jiminy Crickets running around, wishing upon a star. But it's like, if you think about it, if you put your hands in the mud and start to work, it's going to take brick by brick. It's not going to happen overnight. So what I'm seeing is a lot of young men in this space, or men in general, are nesting, and it's looking pitiful. And then they get mad when someone says that they're lazy. They call them a bunch of names, but I'm like, you're proving them right time and time again when you constantly have these stupid conversations that lead to nowhere fast. All you're doing is just running each other down and just gossiping like a bunch of idiots, and it looks stupid. It really does at the end of the day. And then what they want to do is attack you personally, because they can't attack what you are saying because they know it's true. When the truth hits you, you say ouch and come up a little higher. What they used to tell me, the old people in the church. You come up a little higher and you change your life. You do better for yourself. But you have to get out of this mindset of thinking circular. Begin to start thinking linear, being proactive about what you want to see in your life. If you hate something, change it. But you can't change it if you're sitting there around crying all day and don't move a brick. There's bricks laid right in front of you. Folks are giving you the tools, resources, and everything, but you choose to sit there and criticize it and do nothing and say, well, I'm the popular one over here. Okay, that's nice and dandy. You're popular. And what is that doing? What is it doing? Okay, it's doing nothing. All you're just doing is running your mouth and doing nothing. You're going in circles, and it looks stupid, and it plays into the whole portrayal, media portrayal. And we want to look better, but if you want to look better, you got to do something to look better. You got to say, you know what? Let me stop making unnecessary beefs. Let me stop talking about frivolous conversations. Let me start addressing things that's really bothering me and being honest about it, and coming from a place of saying, I don't know what to do. Where do I start at? Where do I start? Where do I go? Who can help me? Then people begin to say, you know what? Then things come in your space, and people start to help you and start doing it. I know this personally for myself. I began to start meeting people on this platform who actually have the same mind as me. And they had one piece that I didn't have. I had a piece that they didn't have. And then some other person may have 3 or 4 pieces that some of us didn't have. And we was able to put together the puzzles together. But you would never know unless you take off the mask. Because right now I'm seeing a whole bunch of people wearing masks, and they're just running around here thinking it's cool, looking like Jim Carrey, but just actually look like a fool. Everything you need is within you, but you would never know unless you pull it out of you. But folks won't never know, because all they doing is hiding behind, a bunch of things that don't mean nothing. But it is what it is. But if you want the change, you got to be the change you want to see.
Exactly. So let me go ahead and touch, because we're going to start wrapping this up, but I want to touch another heavy one for Black men, which is high incarceration rates. They actually call it the school to prison pipeline. And it's my opinion that they start with slapping the ADHD title on Black boys by saddling them with a mental health issue that may or may not be applicable to them. And then thus begins a Black boy's journey in the system, getting him acclimated to being handled by people who are in authority over his biology, in authority over his body, what he can do with it, where he can go, where he can sit, if he can stand. He can't be with the other kids. He can't be, and all this type of stuff. Having control over his biology, robbing him of control over it. So when a Black boy is learning in his formative years that I do not have control over my own biology, he carries that into his young adulthood and to his adulthood. He carries it. This is critical for Black boys, because when they get older, what they start doing is they don't mind going to juvie. They don't mind going to jail. They don't mind, you know what I'm saying? If they become desensitized to it, because it's like, I'm used to not being in control of my own biology. I'm used to people telling me, and then he become rebellious about it because it's not normal for him not to be able to do that. And I just wanted to really touch on that, on those things. And I'm happy that my brothers were here to help me to, you know, people were here to help me. My brothers were here to help me discuss these issues. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to wrap this up. I thank everyone for coming up on a panel. I thank everyone for coming into the chat, for supporting. I thank everyone for supporting the magazine the way that you have done. It means a lot to me that you've done that. So we're going to start wrapping it up. I just want to say this one more time. A game, since we were talking about health, this is for Black men's health. Okay? 21 herbs, no crazy ingredients. The brothers up here can attest to the effectiveness of A game. Okay? And with that being said, I want to thank everyone for coming through, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye-bye, Crimsonites. Hey guys, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. And if you've got more to say on the topic, leave a comment down below. Also, don't forget to support our sponsor, who so graciously supports this channel by clicking the description box and the link for A Game at agameherbal.com. You can go ahead and get a 10% discount off of your next purchase using the code Kendra10. This has been yet another Crimson Cure production, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.